Hi guys, welcome back to My Steps to Sobriety, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stefan F. Another day, another fantastic day actually, for many, many, many reasons. But one of the biggest reasons that today is good is because I've got Kelli Miller with me. Kelli is a woman who I have met as a co-presenter on a recovery summit that was recently held by Leslie McNabb, one of my previous show guests. And it was beautiful for Leslie to bring all these infused people together and show the world out there that there is very much so a way how you can deal with addiction and how you can understand the addict in a better way. But more importantly, if you're a loved one, how to look after yourself and how to prevent a codependency. So there were many, many beautiful, beautiful voices there. And I'm so honored to have one of these voices, Kelli Miller, today with me here on my show. Welcome, Kelli.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel the same way. It was such a beautiful summit and just a beautiful collection of all these wonderful voices to help those who are struggling with addiction or partners of addiction.
Indeed, right. And that's, a third of the population. If you're conservative, make it maybe a fourth or even a fifth. So it's at least 20%, but some voices say 30% of people do suffer from chemical addiction. And if you then say that at least each of them has got one significant other, well, that's half of the population, really, that deal with chemical addiction one way or the other. Now, that figure is actually bullshit because it's not just one person that gets affected. The figures, there are different figures you read, but each and every addict touches the lives of at least probably 20 other people who are therefore at times drawn into the life of the addict and are affected by the actions of the addict.
Right.
So therefore, if we look just at these figures, virtually everyone out there could do with listening to us here today, Kelli.
Exactly.
And tell us a bit about you. You are a woman of many abilities and energetic and positive as you come. But tell us a bit about you. How did you get into the field of addiction medicine?
So I'm a psychotherapist, but I took a little journey to get here. I did some TV and acting hosting and was a health education teacher. And I always feel like it kind of and it was in advertising too. And so I think it makes me a richer therapist to understand other fields and, not to kind of present as like, oh, I know it all. I've had my obstacles too. And, but currently I'm an individual and couples counselor. And then I also facilitate groups in rehab for those struggling with addictions. And I also picked up an anger management group for teens, which is much needed now. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So how do you wear your flak vest and the step roof?
Yeah, exactly.
The garments are really, really good nowadays. I mean, I must say.
Right.
But please, it just is a reflection of our times and where you are. Where do you practice?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Okay. Well, and so first of all, in the preamble before the interview, we already congratulated each other, I guess, and the rest of the world on the outcome of the election. And may there be finally action directed towards the problems that your society in particular shows and which has brought you to the brink of civil war. But if you look at it, that a whole nation of 300 million people is so divided and so cliched in a way, you can just see there's a damn good reason that people got to that level. So there's so much underlying current and anger and resentment and all that. So crikey, for you to start working this young with people, isn't that the key? Isn't that the key to it all?
When I think people, we're just speaking two different languages. And if we could just slow down and really just kind of get out of our egos and just kind of hear what people have to say,
Mm.
that's part of it. We're so quick to kind of turn off somebody else's viewpoint if it's not our own or vice versa. And I think that's part of that anger, right? So if we can just, really, even if we don't agree, it's like, I hear what you're saying, I differ, but I understand, that, why you feel that way, or that's your viewpoint, or maybe I don't understand, but I'm willing to hear you out and give you that common courtesy.
Isn't it? And that's the respect. Start off with
Right.
respect. And I always try to make everyone feel as I like to feel. I try to give everyone the respect. At work, I greet the cleaner, probably sometimes more cordial than I greet the highest up in power, and
Mm-hmm.
that is that that served me well, that attitude,
Right.
and it is an attitude of respect, and with that, people do respect you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk actually about that. I mean, the anger
Sure.
management for teens.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, how the hell do you start with
I
that?
know, right?
What happens? I mean, you get a bunch of you. First of all, you try to probably herd cats to
Right.
bring them into
Like
one
everybody in a
room.
room. Yeah.
So how
Well,
does that work? I mean,
sure.
what is
I mean, I
what is
think
your
it's,
hook? How do you grab
yeah.
them?
I think it's simpler than people imagine. I mean, I think the first step is really teaching people to tune into their bodies. I think a lot of times we think anger just kind of comes out of nowhere and it feels like it goes from 0 to 60. So really the first thing is, hey, when you feel angry, where do you feel it? Are you clenching your fists? Are you clenching your jaw? Are you getting hot? Is your heart racing? So I think that's the first step to sort of like, oh, yeah, I've noticed that. And then once we can establish what are your personal kind of anger signals, that's the first step in awareness of like, oh, yeah, I'm going there. Then we kind of talk about, okay, what do you do if you go there? Do you need a timeout? Do you do some deep breathing? I mean, and again, like I recognize a lot of these things are just not a one size fits all. So I really kind of really kind of present a lot of different tools. Some people don't deep breaths. It's like, forget it. Other people, it's like, okay, what about counting? They need just a systematic way of sort of calming down. Other people are so enraged that they just need to, I talk about kind of the five senses. What do you see in the room? What do you smell in the room? What do you hear? Just to kind of get, and so I think that's really the first key is just identifying you have more control over this than you think. People think, well, I have a temper, that's it, and it's like, no. We just gotta teach you the ways to slow down.
Very important. I love the
Yeah.
way that you try to smell it, feel it, all
Yeah.
these kind of things, and get to know it, because it washes over us such a tsunami of
Yes.
emotion that it
Yes.
seems you seem to be helpless and in
Hmm.
managing that. Yet you can either choose to let that tsunami drown you, or you can actually surf that wave and
Exactly.
see, okay, there it comes. I
Yes.
can't do anything about it, but let's get over it, and I might just keep my mouth shut for a moment, do something else, etc.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's of great interest, because when I was hitting the bottle very hard, I was very resentful,
Yeah.
full of anger, full of rage, and
Mm-hmm.
that was if I mean, if there were any emotions that defined me, these were the emotions.
Yeah.
And it was my rehab which held me the mirror in front of my face, and to where I was asked, it was go back, it was a 12-step program, and the first
Mm-hmm.
3 steps is accepting that you've got a problem, and then the
Yeah.
next 3 steps are really doing something about it, and basically analyzing what's going on. So step 4, doing inventory of what was going on. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things is your anger, your rage, your resentment list. And mine was, oh yeah, I could go on for hours.
Yeah.
But then a good counselor will take that list and will say, okay, let's go to that level there, to that incident. Do you think that you maybe had, what was your take on it? what role did you play in that incident?
Right.
And it was this kind of work that suddenly changed me
Yep.
from this angry man who has made a few holes in walls, luckily
Right.
not into people, but in walls,
Mm-hmm.
most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
From that person to actually step back and learning what the hell is going on here. Why are you angry?
Right.
Okay, and there are many reasons. The other person could very well be an asshole,
Right.
but there is you've got a choice, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
how you respond to it, and
Exactly.
isn't it? So no, that's beautiful. So do you do that kind of work? Does the setting in which you got these
Mm-hmm.
youngsters, does
Mm-hmm.
that allow you to look into more detail on an individual level, or is
Sure.
there a time frame? Is there only so much you can do with them?
It's an inpatient program, so it's usually about between 30 and 45 days. So it is a time limited, but absolutely. I think it is important to recognize your role and maybe, even to see that other person's perspective, just to kind of get out of self a little bit. But the other thing I wanted to speak on, which what you said, is that, I think a lot of times in our society, anger is sort of not okay. And I want to teach everybody, anger is okay. It's just like any other emotion. It's sadness, it's happiness. It's just the way that we channel it, right? That may not come across the right way. So it's okay to be angry. I think there's this need. So a lot of people bottle it up. I don't want to be angry.
No,
I don't want to feel that, right?
Well,
and then they drink or they, and so it's really this idea of that's okay. We just got to learn to express it healthy. We got to channel it in the right way. And I'm a big firm believer also in, utilizing that because there is energy there. So how can we take that energy of anger and just put it in another direction? Kickboxing, doing some writing, upping your, work, if you're a student, like putting it all. And so we can just channel it. I think that's part of it too.
It's a beautiful thing because we somehow live under the imagination that negative emotions are wrong and that they are not supposed to be there, and that then you've got guilt and shame being angry. Exactly. How dare you being angry? And you're so right. It is normal to be angry. It's just how you express it and how do you let it ride you. I guess that's the way how to look at it. And that's absolutely logical for me. But it's logical for me today after 6, 7 years
after a while, exactly.
of hard work. That's right.
Exactly.
And that was certainly not holding true the next time I'm driving from here to work or anywhere in my town. That's right. Yeah. Some people, if you stand there 5 seconds at a roundabout and still thinking, should I go? Should I not go? Get a gentle, dude. Am I angry? No, I wouldn't call it anger, but I would say, hey, this is my time. Your actions impact my life. So sorry, man. Bugger off. I've got a life to live too, kind of a thing. So cool, anger. Well, that's an interesting one. And an inpatient program. Is that all paid by the government, or how does that work?
No, it's private. It's private. It's for teens who have other impacting issues as well. Whether it be, so could be drug dependency, could be bipolar, mental health issues, but then just one group is anger management around that.
Beautiful.
We could all use it. It should be essential.
Go back, and probably in every other interview since I've recorded that, I'm saying it should be mandatory for a 16-year-old to go for a month into rehab. It should be absolute mandatory to actually learn the skills, the coping skills, learn to look after themselves, learn to recognize the triggers and recognize that they are there. All the things that we're talking about. Beautiful. Out of interest, how much would that set a family back? Let's say 30 days.
It's a great question. I have no idea because I just don't deal with the financial piece. So I can't even speak to that. Unfortunately, they just contract me out. But I'm sure it's not inexpensive. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
But then again, I mean, that was the same in my rehab. That cost us $27,000.
Yes.
So, and it was the best holiday I've ever had. Thank you very much. Everything included. It didn't have little drinks. I'm surprised that they didn't bring that on. Now, it was the best investment ever because simply, I mean, just from a material point of view, that was maybe a year and a half worth of alcohol that I consumed. So if you actually do the maths from that angle, these 27,000 are nothing. And if I then see at the flow-on results nowadays of me being such a different man and being such a creative man and therefore powerful in what I achieve because I can put this laser focus onto my life and say, well, actually, I want that. Bang, I can achieve it. And it is so beautiful. So whatever it is, guys, if you think you don't have the money, but you maybe can get a loan and your youngster needs that, invest in it. Look at it like an investment, and it will be the best investment you have ever done.
And even, the county services, anything, any sort of help, right? It doesn't have to, I'm all about just even a little bit of help because it's not this all or nothing, right? We can, take those stepping stones also. So if it's completely, there's no way it's completely out of your budget, go to your mental health clinic, do what you can.
Absolutely. And sometimes it doesn't need to be much. My book, My Steps to Sobriety, okay? I've put my heart out. I've sort of told my story in there. But more importantly, I give action plans with regards to the 12 steps, with regards to living a life that is really so beautiful, that alcohol or drugs have actually no role to play because they are just distracting you from this beautiful other life. So something like that can be the start, the seed that needs to be planted.
Right,
and suddenly either your youngster or your loved one or maybe yourself think, actually. And I love the way that you say it's not all or nothing, because even if you had this attitude and say, I go into my rehab now 1 month and all or nothing.
Right.
That's exactly what I did. So I went in there and gave it all. And I thought, typical doctor, hey, I achieve everything. Yeah, tick, 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 tick. I'm cured. I am it. That's it.
Exactly. I'm done. We're good here. It's a lifelong journey. It is. Yeah.
And I had to learn that.
No, but I think you're right. I think a lot of people feel that way. They go in, they think, okay, I'll be cured. I'm done. I'll never have to do this again. And it's an inside job, right? It's
Oh, and that's the cool thing to recognize. It's a bit scary when you recognize it, actually, because you think you've done so much work and and you think you've come so far. And nowadays I look back and think, oh, you have no idea, Stefan. You have no idea.
Exactly. Yes.
But it is what it is. But guys, even the first day of you not using and feeling like crap because you're not using, because you're in the withdrawal, you're in those very uncomfortable moments. That is such a huge step forward and such a beautiful step forward. I commend you if you guys are right now in that period of letting go of coping mechanisms that probably do no longer suit you so well, or actually kill you, let's call it what it is. Then I'm there. I send you the hugest hug possible, because that's what you need. You need someone else to give you a hug, and until you learn that it's okay to love yourself again, and that it's okay to hug yourself, until then you definitely need people like Kelli and me to show you, hey guys, it's okay.
And I love that you said that. And it is true. We're all so lovable, and we come from such a distorted lens, and it's that reminder of our lens is not the objective lens, and we're so hard on ourselves. So if you can't believe it yourself. Exactly. Believe that you really are loved. And it's just a matter of just kind of really accepting that and knowing that it'll make such a difference.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, please. But I mean, in all fairness, we are living in strange times where everything changes and where there's a constant flux and nothing that you took for granted is actually there anymore. So it's hard under these circumstances to actually live a life where you focus on yourself and where you focus on nurturing yourself and sharpening the saw, etc. I mean, how do you take it nowadays? I mean, you have got your country is ravaged by the COVID-19. It is ravaged by social disparity and the flow-on effects of job losses, etc. How do you? What's your take on addiction at the times of great uncertainty?
Well, I was reading a statistic that I think wine sales went up 800% during this time. And so, I mean, that just, I wasn't surprised by that. And I think that what's tough is that we don't have our typical outlets because of COVID, right? We can't see our friends as much. We don't. So we just have to get creative and figure out alternative solutions. And so I'm all about that. And I'm a big list person because I think in the moment when you're feeling so overwhelmed or so discouraged, you know, your brain just isn't thinking rationally. So when you're in that place where you can really think, okay, what are going to be my coping tools that I can use? And you write that list out. And so in those moments, you pull up that list. And I always think about one of my favorite stories is the pilot, Captain Sully, who flew over the Hudson, and he had been flying for decades. And in that moment where the bird flew into his wing and he didn't know what to do, he had to grab his emergency card and follow step by step. Now, this was a man who had flown for 30 years. So we all, in those moments, have that panic. We can't think. So why not have that emergency card for you as well, where you write down all of those things? So that's, yeah.
So true. And as a doctor, I've been teaching other doctors for years and years and years, courses where we learn how to deal in emergencies. Emergencies. Let that be a major trauma, let that be a major burns, let that be a major disaster. So these are all emergencies where suddenly you find yourself frozen. And the only way that you can deal with that is by going back to very fundamental checklists or mnemonics or whatever it works, a structured plan, because that structured plan will allow you to survive chaos. Every soldier knows that if you are suddenly caught in a crossfire, the one thing you are not, what you can never do is do nothing, because that will kill you. Even some action increases your chances of surviving, and doing the right action because you have practiced it and you have pushed it down from up there to the reptilian brain, that gives you the highest chance of surviving a contact with the enemy. So that's the same in with a police, with a first responder. We all do that. Yet you guys out there, for you, no, I've got it all sorted. I'm 50 years old. Come on, I'm a whatever architect. I'm a whatever. I am who I am. Yes, you are, and you have got this supercomputer between your head up there, but no one ever gave you a manual. So there you are, trying to make it up as you go, and then there are people like Kelli who say, "How did that go for you?"
Right. Exactly. The question.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is so important that that we recognize that. So standard operating procedures or emergency protocols or etc. And it sounds weird, but it is actually exactly what I do nowadays. I haven't got it written down, but if I feel myself getting really angry, then the very first thing is I shut my mouth. Second thing is I'll zoom out and try to get a quick look around what's really going on here. And then a quick mnemonic hold. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired? All four of them? Okay, it's
Right.
probably me.
Sure.
None of them ticked, and he is really an asshole. Okay, it's him. It's as simple as that. So, but it's that little step. And that
Sure.
happens. You start initially, that probably takes you a minute.
Yeah.
By now, I've got it down to the fraction of a millisecond.
That's good.
And then you get a response that is appropriate to the scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And I think doing it this way, once you've actually practiced that, it's the same as when you practice a new sport. You have no idea how to hold that racket and how to hit that ball or something like that. Of course, you ask someone who knows, who played before and who maybe plays really good. Would that not be cool to have a trainer?
Yes, exactly. A mind trainer.
A mind trainer, that's exactly. And that's what a psychologist is. Or a life coach, etc. They all come from different angles, but essentially you have got a trainer at your side. And that's beautiful. So
I also like wait. Why am I talking? I like that one. And so it just kind of pauses you for a minute of like, oh yeah, there I go again.
Well, I like that one. Why am I talking? Yeah, a lot of people who should wait. So many people that come to mind now. But that's a defense mechanism, isn't it? Sometimes our talking and coming out, justifying, bringing up excuses, etc. We are still not learning that it takes ownership to grow.
Yes.
It is, yes, other people stuff up around you, but I very much subscribe to Jocko Willink, to his principles of extreme ownership. And basically it goes along the lines of saying whatever happens around you to a certain degree is your responsibility. And remember, I have not said fault, I said responsibility.
Right, responsibility, yeah.
Because if someone above you stuffed up, then did you give them all the information they needed in order to make the right decision, etc.? If someone below you stuffs up, well, did you give them the right training? Did you give them the right tools for them to do their job? And that is the setting within the army or within being deployed in the field. But if you extrapolate that and put it into your own life, actually the same thing is there. You can, by taking ownership, not faults, not responsibility, but ownership, suddenly you can change the way you look at things and change the way you can support others. And suddenly you actually get the respect that you so much deserve. At least, that was one of my things. Oh, my children were not washing up, therefore they disrespect me. Therefore, how dare they?
Yeah.
That kind of stinking thinking.
Victim. Yeah, exactly.
Man, wait.
Exactly, right.
We should come up with more of them. So we've got hold, guys. We've got wait. Right. What else do you teach your patients or your clients, shall I say?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you touched upon that pause, which is just so key. I think we feel the need to be so reactive, but that pause is so key and so much. It can save you, a lifetime of regret in things you say and do. And so that pause is just really. So I just want to, if you can look at it as a challenge yourself to just take that pause. Even tell yourself, okay, I can say something, but I'm going to give myself a few minutes to calm down, and then see if you still want to say something. So it's really challenging yourself, I think, too, and knowing that this is a process, right? And you've dedicated yourself to kind of growing and being better, and it's not going to happen overnight. And to be gentle with yourself, and just knowing that, it's just going to take some time. You've built these patterns, and so now we have to just change those patterns. Yeah.
A very good thing you just said. You have chosen to go on that way. You want to change yourself. Many people out there, if they're in the midst of chaos, they don't have that attitude. They don't have that insight. They just roll with the punches, and it's pure reaction, and it's pure stress turning into distress. And
Right.
it is very, very tricky. So even before you can plan to do a plan, you actually need to recognize that you're actually knee deep in the proverbial shit.
Sure.
So it is maybe time to
Hmm.
actually put a bit of moments aside, and moments where you're not distracted by your phone or by
Right.
anything around you, and where you actually maybe take a water bottle and go to the next set of woods,
Yes.
trees somewhere,
Mhm.
and just sit down for half an hour
Yeah.
and actually
Yeah.
try not to think of something, and just try
Mhm.
to get a bit of energy into you. That
That's
and
mm.
th- it's something I'm the worst to do that. I
Mm.
preach it until my lips bleed. Yet when was the last time that I took time out? In
Mhm.
actual fact, yesterday. In actual fact, yesterday. But that was after many, many weeks of burning the candle on both ends.
Yes.
But and
But again,
initially in the morning it felt so wrong. What do you mean it's not
yeah.
working? Hang on, I need
Right.
to
Right.
work.
What's going
I need to
on?
work.
Yeah.
And then luckily over the day it was actually so nice to just read a book.
Mhm.
And then had some nice dinner, and it was beautiful. And let's go to bed now. And
Well, I was just going to say, I'm a huge proponent of meditation, and I started meditation in 2007, and it completely changed my life. If you start to think of it not as a chore, but literally like, okay, you don't think about brushing your teeth, you just do it. And so that's the same thing with meditation for me. I incorporate it, right? And I think that's what happens with self care. We kind of think of it as a luxury, but if we can think of it more of as a necessity, kind of what you're saying, it's not, this is needed. This is part of your day in order for you to function as a better human, a kinder person, a less stressed person. This is what you need. And so if we can look at it that way, it may help. And again, not that all or nothing, where even if it's 2 minutes where you sit and you just breathe for 2 minutes, it's huge.
isn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
please. These
Yeah.
micro breaks that you allow yourself.
Yeah.
This kind of when you are under the adrenaline and the cortisol and all
Mhm.
the stress hormones, your system is stretched. It's really, really
Yes.
stretched. And you're way out there because you want to have that peak performance.
Mhm.
And that's okay. You can be for some time out there. You need to be for some time out there.
Yeah.
If you're in the middle of standing off the street and a bus is about to kill you, you hopefully have your adrenaline kicking in and you jump out of the way. So it's okay to be out there on at stretching
Right.
point, but you need to
Hmm.
let that come back to the more relaxed thing, and
Yeah.
that's the 2 minutes are so great. So
Exactly.
so you say meditation. Some
Mhm.
people balk at that and say,
Yeah.
that's new age hippie shit.
Right.
Um, may I suggest,
Sure.
uh, don't use the meditation if you don't like that word. Maybe
Hmm.
just use the word timeout for yourself. For example,
And
if you have a shower, are
yep.
there moments when you have finished washing, but you're under the nice warm water and it's just
Yeah.
running and your mind is
Hmm.
just wandering?
Right. It's
Welcome to meditation, isn't it?
exactly. No, I
Exactly.
think you make a good point. I think it's really just being mindful, right? It's
Mhm.
just sort of being present. So whatever you want to call it, Peter Pan, whatever you want to call it, it's just
Exactly.
being mindful. That's it. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's so beautiful. Give yourself the permission to actually stop for a moment. And it's actually like a little present, like a little gift
Yes.
for me. Hey, this is 2 minutes my time now. You all can
Yeah.
just beep.
That's
And
true.
it's so
Mhm.
important, so important. Oh dear. So see, Kelly, I said before the interview, we probably can talk for hours because we have
Yeah.
a probably very similar take on life. And it's really good. So whilst the two of us are preaching to the converted here, preaching to
Yeah.
the choir, we do so because we want to show you guys out there that we both have gone through dark times,
Mhm.
and here we are
Yeah.
using these tools to not let the past define us, but to
Right.
change our life, to make different choices, literally every day, every hour, sometimes every second.
Right.
And these choices, it's not something magical, but it's something very measurable. You make
Yeah.
the choice to be to keep your anger at check and listen to someone else, and suddenly you see their face relaxing because they had
Yep.
expected you to bite their head off, and they
Yes.
expected a war, and suddenly you listen to them, and wow, so,
Yeah.
what a new kind of
Mm-hmm.
new setting. And if you then, if you can take their negatives and acknowledge it or diffuse them,
Yeah.
it is so beautiful.
Mm.
And who knows, we might even come to a point where your own anger has disappeared and the
Yeah.
other person's anger has disappeared, and you
Mhm.
shake hands. Well, oh
Mhm.
God, or fist bump or whatever you can do in the times of COVID.
Right,
uh,
exactly.
Acknowledge with a severe um,
Right.
and I actually say that when I see in my clinic, in the big clinic on Friday, where I see patients for the next week or two for surgery, and I bring them in, and many of them are my age or older. So
Mhm.
we pride ourselves on a strong handshake, and I
Oh.
say, please come in and imagine a strong handshake. And often enough, I will say also, if someone is quite emotional, I say, look, I want to give you this huge hug. Please feel hugged here,
Right,
etc. You can
exactly.
spell it out like that. Just the sheer
Right.
fact that you're actually spelling it out.
Mhm.
That's probably not as good as the real thing, but
It's
it's getting
true.
close.
Because
Okay,
that's trust. Exactly.
you're showing
Yes.
empathy, and you're showing that you're a human being, and we need
Mhm.
that so much out there, isn't it?
Mhm.
Oh,
Well, I love your message, and I love, your strength that you can provide to the viewers. And because I think what happens is we feel so isolated when we're feeling this depressed and, angry and all that. You really feel like you're having a unique experience. And so I love that you're out here saying it's not unique. It feels it, but it's not, and you can get through it. And so, I really applaud you for having the courage to share your story and strength.
thank you, Kelly.
Mhm.
Kelly, thank you so much for coming onto my show today. I think
Absolutely.
we have gone like a whirlwind through all
Yeah.
the positives, but sometimes you need a show like that. We don't need to delve into the negatives all the time.
Right.
But you guys, you just had 30-45 minutes of the condensed, this is how to live your life.
Mhm.
In if you choose to do so. Yes,
Right.
you can mope. Yes, you can pitch up your tent over there in the pity party place. Uh,
Right.
it's your choice. It's your
Exactly.
choice.
It is.
Exactly. So we have chosen to deal with our negative emotions and to look at them as acquaintances. I wouldn't call them
Mhm.
friends, but
Mhm.
they're coming into our maybe family members. You
Mhm.
can't get rid of them. You can't shoot them. So you might as
Right.
well actually.
Mhm.
There is this nasty Uncle Angry Bob, so he's coming
Right,
around,
exactly. Yeah.
and yeah, okay, but he's going.
Mhm.
He's going. I know.
Right.
I know how to get rid of him in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
So that's
exactly.
cool. That's cool.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Kelly, it was great to have you on my show. Thank you
Thank you so
so much.
much.
If
Appreciate it.
people want to know more
Mhm.
about you, if people want to get in touch with you,
Sure.
how can they do that?
Yes, thank you so much. So my Instagram is Kelli Miller Therapy. It's Kelli Miller Miller, and then therapy. My website is www.kellymillertherapy.com, and I have a YouTube channel. I believe it's Kelli B Miller Therapy, something like that. But you can probably find it'll be on
Guys,
my
look,
website.
that's right. Look down there in the
You'll have it.
description of the
I'll send
video,
it to
and
you
that's right.
exactly.
So it will be there. So you can just click on it and take it from there. No,
Thank you
that's
so much
cool.
for having me on. I
It's an
appreciate it.
absolute pleasure. And you guys out there, please, I hope we've planted that seed that whatever is happening right now, however you roll with the punches, it is, you have got choices. And the moment you make one little choice and things get a little bit better, even if it's a tiny fraction of something, hey, you just made the day a little bit better. And that's not bad.
Mhm.
And then maybe try another choice, and then maybe rehydrate, and then maybe eat something healthy, and then maybe just take 2 minutes out and smell the weather around you, and things like that. These are all your choices. And suddenly you're no longer helpless and powerless and hopeless, but you've taken control, you've taken action. And that is the best thing you can ever do. So Kelli, again, thank you so much. And you
Thank
guys
you.
out there, have a fantastic day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mhm.
Dream on, dream on.